Hello, we're back again. So, we are dealing with our HTML from that first lesson. Let's talk about colors now in our CSS style sheets. So we've looked at the style sheets. We can see that we make the body background color light blue. We can change that to any color that we wish. And to do that, you can go to this website, not there, CSS W3 Schools. They have this lovely setup here where you can put in the codes instead of typing in the color name. You can use a code or you can use the actual color name there. So let's see, we want to use this. I want to use this one here. I want to use dark sea green. Okay, this is better. We can see the colors here, and we can then go and copy the actual code itself and go and put it into our CSS file. I'm going to check, here we go. So instead of putting that in, just put the code. If I run it, it should be the color that I chose there, which was, I can't remember. Let's run it and see anyway. Oops, that's the wrong page. This one, run. So now it's that color, OOFFF, and I copied that from the aqua color, or you could just use the word aqua. So this is where a good place to look up your colors. Now let's change. Let's go and put in some colors for our UL. UL, in other words, this UL over here. Let's see what happens when we do that. So I'm going to type in UL, and I'll use the word background color. Dash color. Thank goodness for auto fill. And I'm going to pick another color randomly. Put that one in there. So my unordered list, which doesn't have any bullets, has now been, the whole background for that whole strip is now that color. So you can do that for anything, for any of your sections. H1. Background color. No, let's see what happens if I use that one. So H1, heading 1 has now got that as your color filled in for the whole line. Right, so that's one of the other little tricks. The other thing you can do is over here, instead of saying blue, you can go and add a color from your color code. I'll choose that one. Wrong page. And there we go. So our paragraphs are, now we can't really see them, can we? Silly me. Anyway, that was just that little side note. Now to get into our index.html, you'll see that we have this nav section here, and our unordered list says type equals none, so our bullets don't have any little symbols next to them. We can go and set that in our style.css, and then we have a reference to the pages. Now take note, I already mentioned that the pages are not in folders, they're right there. If we move up to our link to our style sheet, we never discussed this yet, it's inside the head section. Inside the head section, you have to put in your link to the style.css. If you don't, then you won't be able to access, the code won't work. The style.css in here is not going to apply to this index page. So you need to put that link into all of your pages. So we will just copy that into page 2. Of course, it needs to be inside the right structure. So we have HTML. Then you have your head. And then you have your body. And inside the head, you would have a title. And after that, this link to your CSS file needs to be right there. And what does that link refer to? Well, it's standard syntax. It's going to be a style sheet type text.css, but over here, this is the important part. The actual name of the file that you're linking to is right there, style.css. If that file was in a folder, then you need to put the folder name /style.css. But it's not in a folder, so you don't have to put in the folder name there. Right, so now let's get on to back to our index page, the main page. You have to have an index page in order to run your code. So we've managed to do that. Now, what about your positioning of your headers to H1, H2, and H3? If you want your heading to be on the right-hand side of your page, then we need to, let's say H1, we want to be aligned right. So we go to our style S and we'll say H1 semicolon and float colon right. Now let's see if H1 will float to the right. And there it is, heading H1 is right there, as you can see. And that is one way. And take note, we have H1, we put a background color of H0. If I remove that, run it. Now H1 is not colored anymore. Let's put H3. You can put H3 to the right or H2 to the right. Yeah. Interesting though, I've got H1, H2, H3. So basically it's floating. What we need to worry about that it's affecting other elements. So we need to basically, yeah, it's affecting, it's affecting H2 and H3. As you can see, H1 is supposed to be on top. So we need a clear declaration on our other elements, you can call them. So for H2, we need to clear. So we will put that in now. Let's go into our CSS. H2. Clear. Let's run it. And now you'll see that heading 1 is on the right hand side, heading 2 is underneath it. So because our heading 1 we floated to the right. You saw before when we took this clear both away, just to recap. We float heading 1 to the right, but we know it must be on top of heading 2. So in order to do that, there's a little trick here where we have to say clear for heading 2, colon both. Strange as though it may seem, that is what will solve our problem with making sure that heading 1 is still above heading 2. And I think that's enough for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.